Well, g'day. I thought I might try another experimental procedure today for your entertainment and mine. And I forgot to have a beer, but that happens. I'm a bit forgetful sometimes. These are those nice, gentle 8-8 ones. Drinking them faster than I know when I'll be able to keep up with the next brew. But anyway, I'm going to leave shortly and do some cleaning, and I'm already a bit stuffed. I just pulled a big fucking tick out of the back of my head. I was doing some gardening out there before, and bloody, there's bandicoots been getting around, digging little holes in my lawn and that everywhere. And they're the natural friggin' host of bloody paralysis ticks. They're the worst kind of ticks. They tick me right off. Now, this is definitely not going to work, so we'll have to get a bit inventive. What I'm going to do is actually, I was going to just open up some pictures and scan through them and just discuss one or two of them perhaps. So yeah, getting high tech now. I've got the laptop. Loading. Now this is going to be a bit silly. But, well, yeah, let's start. I don't even know if this is going to work. So that's the first picture I've got there. One or two. Don't know how well you can see them, but basically you get the concept that one's a big spherical globe, which we all believed we once lived on. The other one's a whole new concept of a flat enclosed system, which makes sense if you're going to have an atmosphere in a vacuum. Having one in a vacuum, that sort of doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Anyway, I also had another idea apart from looking at these pictures, and this is going to be quite funny. I haven't really thought it through yet. I was just thinking about it while I was gardening, and Oli Morowa, Uluru, Ayers Rock. Looks a bit flat. Heaps of pictures of the edge. The world is waking up. Knowing the earth is flat and stationary is the greatest consciousness shift in the history of humanity. Oh, that's not even a flat earth one. When you mention the earth is flat around intellectuals, I love it. Go ahead, shoot, motherfucker. And there's an interesting picture. I like this one because it shows an artist's concept, obviously, of how the earth could be on an infinite flat plane surrounded by ice, covered with a dome which is covered with luminaries. That's one idea of it. Just so it's good to broaden your mind with images sometimes and think through things. Most people don't really want the truth. They just want constant reassurance that what they believe is the truth. So, proof of the globe, proof of the plane. I've got quite a few of these. Imagine, if you will, a world full of people living upside down on a spinning ball. Now, this is an interesting one because this is what people like to argue with on the comment section on YouTube all the time, that there is no up and down in space. So, everybody's on top of the spinning ball from your perspective. Now you think about it, really, it doesn't really make sense when you start to apply logic and critical thinking to being, everybody is either on a slant or they're sideways or they're upside down from your perspective on the ball. On the flat plane, everybody's the right way up and water is flat and level, as you would expect it to be. So, you globe believers don't really apply yourself critical thinking very much when it comes to perspective. Your perspective is the right one. So how can everybody be right at the same time? If you're on a ball, a lot of people are upside down. That's the simple truth of it. Yeah, gravity. Coriolis. Squawk, squawk. That's them. I want my ball back. Some glaciers and Ballievers. Yeah, now that is... Yeah. Captain, I'm detecting large amounts of butthurt in this sector. Hey, there's me. Ice wall. The Coriolis effect says the Earth spins under a sniper's bullet, but doesn't spin under these balloons. Now, how is that? The bullet is speeding at, I don't know the speed of a bullet. Let's say it's 1,000 miles an hour. No, it'd have to be more than that even. But the balloons, who are just sitting there stationary, the Earth doesn't spin under it at 1,000 miles an hour. How can that be? Oh, because the atmosphere in the vacuum is moving with it. And so when the balloon took off, it's already moving 1,000 miles an hour. So as it's just gently wafting through the breeze, it's just wafting gently at 1,000 miles per hour plus whatever the breeze is. Seriously. You brain dead idiots believing that. You know, if we had a big seal around our atmosphere that the planet was moving through and it was moving with us, yeah, okay, maybe the atmosphere could move with us. Maybe. I'm going to just jump to, because this is like, I just got to do this. You're going to love this. This is just fun. Everybody likes having a bit of fun. Ah, it went blank. Oh, phew, here we go. Now, we ready? Do you see where this is going? The old lady is the earth. The fly is the lie. The fly. The fucking lie. That it's a spinning ball. So then, in order to get through this idea of the spinning ball around the sun, you've got to invent an even bigger lie. So you swallow a spider that wriggles and giggles and jiggles inside her. And that's obviously then the Coriolis and the tilt and the wobble, wriggling and jiggling as we're spinning around the sun. So now the bird, whoa, well now we've got the bird to catch the spider. So in order to keep up with spinning on our axis and having seasons because we're tilted, now we've got to be spinning around the sun in an annual trip. So that's the bird flying around the sun. How absurd. But you've got to have that to swallow the spider to catch the fly. She swallowed the spider to catch the fly, and I don't know why she swallowed the fly, perhaps she died. It wasn't the lady who swallowed the cat, imagine that, to swallow a cat. She swallowed the cat to catch the bird, she swallowed the bird to catch the spider that wriggled and jiggled and... Well now, the cat. What's the cat? Well, we're just one tiny little solar system inside this galaxy called the Milky Way. You got to swallow that, and all these other little stars that we see in the sky, they're all suns, and they've all got their own planets, and they've got their own moons. That's the cat. Yeah, why did she swallow the fly? Okay, let's get back to the dog before we get to the goat. We're not ready for the goat yet. So the dog, now we're on this solar system, moving through the galaxy at phenomenal speeds. The sun is going 66, no, we're going 66,000 miles around the sun. What's the sun going at? 750,000 miles an hour through the galaxy. And the whole galaxy's moving. That's why the stars stay the same, because we're all moving at ridiculously phenomenal speeds without protection for windscreen over our atmosphere. So the balloons can look as though they're perfectly stationary as we're moving millions of miles an hour. I think they're already swallowing a goat here. See how fun nursery rhymes can be. Perhaps she'll die. I don't know how she swallowed a cow. But if you've swallowed all the rest by now, you've got to swallow the cow. Because our galaxy is just one of billions and billions and billions in a massive, massive universe of infinite space. That's what you have to believe when you swallow the fly. Oh! See what happens when you believe a heap of bullshit? You've got to swallow lie after lie after lie until eventually you got to come to your senses and go, I can't swallow the horse. You're dead, of course. The ball earth is dead. So, let me just, I don't know. I've been having some great discussions on, let's go to this one here. I like this one. This is where I made the comment. This one here is Neil deGrasse Tyson, Flat Earth, Fake Science and Space Exploration, the Anthony Cumia Show. So I say here, so now water can curve, because we've got experts here. Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's a science. He understands science and the truth of everything. Yeah, so that with the horse. So now water can curve, and stars remaining the same all year round for thousands of years is normal for spinning balls moving faster than the speed of sound, tilted at 66.6 degrees, chasing the sun at 66,600 miles per hour. See all this 666 in the heliocentric Lucifer worship model? While holding a still unprotected atmosphere in a vacuum? What next? Satellites? Because, yeah, satellites. And so the first comment, I just got cancer from reading this. Cuzzy Poo Andrew. Cuzzy Poo, what a fucking idiot name. Cuzzy Poo Andrew, that's okay, mate. I shared the cure for that too on one of my vids. Cuzzy Poo Andrew. Lol, why do you call yourself lunatic? I thought you didn't believe in the moon anyways. That says, yeah, I intend to work on a few ideas regarding the moon, which I've done. I've been contemplating it all my life and still haven't quite got a concrete theory, but there's a conglomeration of ideas that might help make sense of it. I'm into self-deprecation, so I don't let my ego blow out of proportion. I'm not in it for myself, but for Mother Earth and all her little earthlings. So isn't that a nice little clue I like to drop in everywhere? What do you call a baby duck? A duckling. What do you call a baby goose? A gosling. What do you call a little earth? An earthling. I love dropping little clues like that in. So, Cuzzy Poo. Well, Mr. Thatcher, too bad. The moon was created when celestial debris collided with early Earth, scattering some shit and then created a satellite. Cuzzy Poo Andrew? Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. Despite having a front row view from my balcony, conjecture makes the best proof. Laugh out loud. Yeah, historians don't exist. Crisis of consciousness jumps in here now. Decides to throw in his 2 cents. I kind of ignored him. In a couple of thousand years, the galaxy has rotated around 0.004 degrees. I'll show you how to calculate it. The galaxy takes 250 million years to make one full rotation. That's 250 with 6 noughts. So let's say records began 3,000 years ago. These records which you claim show that the constellations never change. 3,000 divided by 250 million equals 0.00012% of a full rotation, or 0.00012 times 360 equals 0.0042 degrees. He doesn't seem to realise that the ball Earth is spinning on its axis, and the Sun is the thing that's barely moved that many degrees. The Earth is going right around it, according to the ball Earth theory. So, of course, the star's going to change when you're on one side of the Sun to the other, but, you know, globe heads have a lot of trouble. They can look at these big, big figures and numbers and invent all sorts of fancy things like the atmosphere is moving with us, but so Cuzzy Poo comes back, crisis of consciousness. Shh, don't aggravate him with logic. Logic. What part about going around the Sun don't they get? I just don't know. I'm aggravated. Piss myself laughing. Crisis of consciousness, I do respond to you. Well, that clears up how and why water curves over 80% of the surface and clings upside down on a ball spinning faster than the speed of sound with an unprotected atmosphere clinging like Velcro through a vacuum of space. Laugh out loud. Lol. Cuzzy Poo. Ross Thatcher, honestly, can you get stupider? Even a 4th grader knows that there's no such thing as an upside down in the universe, and I bet you don't know why that is either. You can't fool me, buddy. I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson explain how it gets a bit chubbier below the equator. How else can you explain the 66.6 degree tilt if there's no up and down? You science boffins make up so much bullshit it's laughable to use it against you. It can't even be said to be moving at all if there's no up or down. Do you not understand relativity? In 3 dimensions, there's X, Y, and Z. Up, down, across, which is left, right. I'll left that out. And forward and back. All relative to something. Your spinning ball theory is dead. Allow me to go and find some text which I can copy and paste here. BRB. That stands for be right back. See, I'm clued on to this internet-y stuff. Crisis of consciousness. The universe doesn't have a bottom or a top. It's topless and bottomless. How rude. Cuzzy Poo and Ross Thatcher. Earth gets chubbier at the equator because it spins. It's called physics. Earth is tilted 66 degrees relative to the horizontal axis of the solar system. Still no up and down. Boom. Shit, you got me there. Boom. Whenever you boom, you fucked, aren't you? Crisis of consciousness. The reason why it clings to Earth is that there is nothing stronger to pull it away. Get a large planet to pass by the Earth and it will begin to disrupt the atmosphere and the oceans, likely causing earthquakes and tsunamis. Likely, that's a good word, that one. See? That's what you mean. Likely. Cuzzy Poo has to throw his another 2 cents in. Plus, you don't even know what relativity is. I don't know why you even mentioned it. You shouldn't mention it just in case it would make you look more of a retard. How can I look any more of a retard? Man, I'm Alfred E. Newman retard. Here it is. This is a really great quote, and so I shall read it to you because it's a really great quote. It's written by a man called Alan Daves. I assume that's correct, not a typo. It's not Davis. Anyway, he says, with this text, what I copied and pasted, the heliocentric spinning ball cosmology. This is what you've chosen to blindly believe, and here's you thinking flat earthers are crazy. If the government or NASA had said to you that the Earth is stationary, imagine that. And then imagine we are trying to convince people that, no, it's not stationary, it's moving forward at 32 times rifle bullet speed and spinning at 1,000 miles per hour. We would be laughed at. We would have so many people telling us, you are crazy, the Earth is not moving. We would be ridiculed for having no scientific backing for this convoluted moving Earth theory. Not only that, but then people would say, oh, then how do you explain a fixed calm atmosphere and the sun's observable movement? How do you explain that? Imagine saying to people, no, the atmosphere is moving also, but it's somehow magically velcroed to the moving Earth. The reason is not simply because the Earth is stationary. So what we are actually doing is what makes sense. We are saying that the moving Earth theory is nonsense. The stationary Earth theory makes sense and we are being ridiculed. You've got to picture it being the other way around to realise just how ridiculous this situation is. This theory from the government and NASA that the Earth is rotating and orbiting and leaning over and wobbling is absolute nonsense, and yet people are clinging to it tightly, like a teddy bear. They just can't bring themselves to face the possibility the Earth is stationary, though all the evidence shows it. We feel no movement, the atmosphere hasn't been blown away, we see the sun move from east to west. Everything can be explained by a motionless Earth without bringing in all these assumptions to cover up previous assumptions gone bad, like the old woman swallowing a spider to swallow the fly. I didn't put that in, but you get where I'm going with that, eh? Mr. Crisis of Consciousness. There is an up or down relative the plane of spin of the Earth. However, this does not mean that things fall relative to this direction in space. Well, jeez. Can you explain to me, he makes a second comment here, so he must be getting pretty serious. Can you explain to me here, without pointing me towards the video, how you explain the stars in the sky and the planets moving through the sky, as well as the space station that can be seen with a telescope? I'm assuming that this is believed to be some kind of projection. I love this one, this is funny. The space station hoax is probably nothing more than a drone they put out there occasionally to keep you nerds excited. A telescope is a looking glass, just ask Alice. All the stars and planets, or wandering stars, are simply luminaries. They are not other spinning balls or suns. Try looking for yourself and stop believing the CGI bullshit that NASA, Hebrew word for to deceive, keep putting out. Cartoons, paintings, CGI, it's all a load of bullshit. What you see is what you get. Crisis of consciousness. Can you explain what these luminaries are and the mechanics that keeps them in place? Kazipoo. Ross Thatcher. Actually, the government doesn't tell us the Earth is round. Science does. The same science that creates engineers, technologies, chemists, biologists, doctors, physicists that contribute to our society. But you ungrateful bastards are so stubborn that when it comes to something that goes against your stupid beliefs, you disregard it as fake and filled with lies. The ancient Greeks knew the Earth was round simply by observing constellations and travelling. That was 2,000 years ago. Our fundamental laws of physics prove the Earth is round. Because of such a strong gravitational pull a large object has, it becomes compressed into a sphere. If the Earth was flat, physics is wrong. If physics is wrong, then engineering doesn't exist. Many technologies don't exist. Photoelectric theory. Science tells us that the hydrogen atom has one proton and one electron. Do you believe that? It doesn't go against any of your beliefs, so I see no reason why you wouldn't. Kazipoo has another say. But you've never seen a hydrogen atom before, why would you believe it? Never seen one, I'm looking at them now. They're full of hydrogen. They're just invisible, but real. So I have to say, I do get tired of repeating myself ad nauseam, so I started a series of rants explaining myself. Here's the basics for you. And that's the one, the Flat Earth 101 for ignorant globe heads. As to the stars, yes, the sound quality is shithouse, but I go into explaining them quite a bit here. That's the one where I explain the stars and the pyramids. Basically, our firmament keeps the waters above separated from the waters below. The stars are quite literally the angels in heaven, the watery realm above us, and they come into view when the sun is sufficiently far enough away for them to appear. Anything of material matter falls to the bottom level, this plane of existence, due to density, not gravity, the made-up term to explain the Luciferian heliocentric concept, the Great Deception. The ancient Greeks recognised that the wandering luminaries were greater gods than the lesser fixed ones. We still call them by their traditional names in most cases. Now, Mr. Athanatos comes in now, 10 hours ago. Beside the fact that he ignores the most rudimental ideas of basic physics and math, Ross is so dumb that can't even realise we discovered the roundness of Earth way before NASA or even the USA existed, yet he thinks it's all a plan from the evil NASA. What would be the point in making people to believe that the Earth is a different shape than what it actually is anyway? Such an idiot. Was NASA also involved back in the days of ancient Greece, 300 years BC, when the theory of a round Earth was being discussed and even calculated? Do you like my voices? They're cool, eh? So I said, well, aren't you the genius Greek philosopher who knows it all? The trouble with you Ballievers is that you refuse to investigate anything. I've totally debunked the ball Earth model with logic and facts, yet you have the nerve to call me the dumb one? The alleged roundness you talk of was simply a convenient way to map it out, all based on mere speculation, which was totally inaccurate for Southern Hemisphere exploration. And even Captain James Cook himself, the great explorer, navigator, and cartographer, was totally perplexed and frustrated at his inability to circumnavigate Antarctica for some 3 years and over 60,000 miles of exploration. When according to his calculations based on the erroneous ball, it should have been a 3 to 4 month journey around a continent not much bigger than the Australian mainland he'd only recently mapped most of. But you Ballievers refuse to give up your fantasy where massive oceans exist upside down and sideways, spinning faster than sound, because you're also unbelievably stupid and gullible and unable to do any research into the unknown yourselves. And even when NASA, Hebrew word meaning to deceive, I got a bit repetitive there, bad me, came along in the mid-50s last century and started playing with rockets, everything they showed us is faked. Composite pictures, CGI, paintings, all the lovely artwork you brainless cretins dearly love to keep your fantasies alive and make you feel intelligent because, well, science. Stuart James jumps in now. Captain James Cook himself, the great explorer, navigator and cartographer, was totally perplexed and frustrated at his inability to circumnavigate Antarctica. 1. So, it couldn't have anything to do with the fact that it was the 1700s and no one had done it before. Wow, this guy's a genius. I replied, Mr. Stuart James, and neither has anyone done it since. What's your point? Sure, jump on your Google and prove me wrong, but bear in mind, not one modern-day explorer has ever followed the Antarctic edge all the way around. They've simply continent hopped around the south. You try going on a journey in a sea-bound boat for 3 years through icy waters with little fresh food supplies available and see how well you go. There's no GPS down there, and satellites are a bogus hoax suitable for the gullible. Good luck with that. Cuzzy-poo, he's back again. Ross Thatcher, the thing that pisses me off is that you bash on the ball earth theory, but you don't even understand it. Cuzzy-poo, the thing that amuses me greatly is that I understand way better than most anyone who still believes in the idiotic notion. Cuzzy-poo, Ross Thatcher, then I guess you seem to understand physics. Then describe the horizontal motion of, obviously he's meant to say of, not kf, of a projectile that launches off the cliff given g is 9.81 meters squared per second and the horizontal instantaneous velocity is 5 meters a second. Cuzzy-poo, Andrew. The bearing that silly formula has with regards to a speeding ball spinning on its axis circling a central sun is what exactly? The laws of motion in a vacuum insist that a thing in motion remains in motion unless acted upon by an external force. So you invent gravity to explain why a ball spinning and moving hundreds of miles a second can drag around a satellite moon that just happens to appear the exact same size as the central star we're orbiting. And somehow this moon magically stays the perfect distance away to keep falling around us, always showing the same face. So to distract yourself from amazing coincidences, you invent silly little formulas describing everyday motions on the Earth that are all about density and friction. What shape is your projectile anyway? What air resistance does it have? Can you replicate an atmosphere in a vacuum without solid impenetrable seals? Cuzzy-poo comes back. Ross Thatcher, yeah, ha. XF equals XO plus VOT plus 1/2 at squared is made up, and we didn't invent gravity. Gravity was always there. Density cannot explain how objects accelerate towards Earth's centre at 9.8 meters squared, which is an observable fact. And for the problem I was asking, just assume it was in a vacuum, so you can answer that now. So he's trying to get clever and bamboozle me with esoteric symbols and science. Like I need to understand that. Anyway, I did this shit back in high school. I don't need to go and relearn all this crap. Oh, and he makes another comment. And I can't believe that you believe that density is what keeps us on Earth. It makes no sense. It's like saying that acceleration and velocity are the same thing, but it isn't. Is it? I don't understand how it's saying that acceleration and velocity are the same thing. Density. So I responded to him. There's no evidence to suggest that gravity attracts towards the centre of a ball planet. In fact, the actual scientific evidence of gravity proves that 2-mile-long plumb bobs suspended towards the centre of gravity, 1 mile apart at the level surface, are 1 mile 8 inches apart when measured by a level mine shaft joining them a mile down. But again, science rejects these findings because it doesn't suit their cute little ball agenda. Cuzzy-poo says, what the fuck? I've never heard that before. Gravity is a force of acceleration. In your flat earth model, that definitely agrees with the laws of physics. Explain how this acceleration occurs in detail, please. So I just grown sick of this guy. Things of greater density fall through things of lesser density until they reach a thing of greater density. or in the case of plumb bobs, the end of their tether. So there you go. We've had some little fun with our nursery rhymes. When you swallow flies, you got to keep swallowing more and more and more bullshit to believe them. So don't swallow flies. Don't believe lies. Earth is flat. See you next time.